Hello, we're going to be talking about British values, entry level 3, Oldham Lifelong Learning Service. So welcome. Let's start. Let's look at our own personal values first of all. Can you write down what you think your values are? What do these values mean to you? Personal values are things that are important to us, characteristics and behaviours that motivate us and guide us to make the decisions that we make. So have a little think about your values and what these values mean to you. I want you to look at one of these values. Ask yourself, do you have respect for everyone? Even if they're not like you? Don't think like you? Share the same faith, the religion, tradition, culture as you? What if they're a different gender? And genders could be male, female, transgender, neutral, non-binary, pangender, lots of different genders. What if they're different from you? Do you still have respect for them? What do you think? What about respect for authorities? Do we actually respect authorities? The government, the council, the police, law and order? Do we have respect for them? They do a great job. They do a fantastic job in keeping us all safe, making rules, making regulations to help us and support us. What do you think? Do we respect them? What about respect for where we live? The environment. You can see from the pictures, people dumping rubbish. All you have to do is take a look in back alleys, lots of rubbish dumped around. Do you think that's respecting where we live? I don't think so. I think everybody should be taking the rubbish home and putting it in the bins and putting rubbish in bins. What do you think? Freedom. Are you free to do whatever you want? We're allowed to have free speech in this country. We can speak about whatever we want. We can talk about whatever we want. We can talk in groups. We can talk in a gathering. It doesn't matter. We're allowed to have that free speech, whether it's individually with somebody or it's within a community. But there is a limit. Hate speech, violence, anything that promotes hate or violence, not acceptable. Totally, totally not acceptable. Free speech has its limits. What I want you to look at is the values that you thought about earlier, what I asked you to think about. I want you to write them values down. We've already mentioned a couple, respect and freedom. Look at the values that you've thought of and think, how would you use these values in your everyday life? Let's now look at our British values. We'll be looking at democracy. We'll be looking at the rule of law. We'll be looking at individual liberty. We'll be looking at mutual respect and tolerance of those with different faiths and beliefs. That's what we'll be covering today. Let's start with democracy. Britain is a democracy. This means that people in Britain vote for the people who make the laws and decide how the country is run. Now that's important. You and me together, we vote for people who are elected and then they make the law of this country. and how this country is run. Do you actually vote? Do you know who you're voting for? Do you know anything about your councillors that you vote for? These are questions that you need to ask yourself. I want you to watch this short video, then I want you to think about this video. The video spoke about freedom and equality. Freedom in this country is a principle. It supports our freedom as individuals and as a community. Equality. Everybody should be treated equally within the law. The video talks about how we vote, the principles of voting every 5 years. It discussed that women only got the right to vote 100 years ago. It talks about debates, having that conversation. You don't agree with somebody, having that conversation. Protests, having a protest about something that you disagree with. Can you think of any protests recently which have happened? Elections. Let's just have a little think. How are elections held in the UK? How does this compare with other countries? What about the country where you're from? Do they have fair elections? Is there democracy within the country? Are they fair? What part does the media play in elections? Now, the media can be biased. You can have certain papers supporting a certain political party. What do you think? Do they play a part in sort of making us think differently? Radio stations, TV, BBC, ITV, Channel 4, Sky. Can you list any political parties? Who are councillors? What do you actually know what councillors do? And your MPs and your members of parliament, what do they actually do? Are you aware of what they do? They should be supporting you because you have elected them. Let's move on to the rule of law. These are a set of written rules which become law when they're recognised by the government and are required to be followed by members of the public, us. In Britain, we have a police force who make sure people do not do the wrong thing and break the law. This means that we're all safe. Now, I know something goes wrong, I can pick up the phone, dial 999 and call the police. Can you imagine if we didn't have a police force? What do you think would happen? I couldn't ring 999 because there'd be no police force to sort of come and attend to me. There'd be burglaries, there'd be robberies, there'd be theft, there'd be physical violence, and nobody would be doing anything. I certainly don't want that. What about you? What do you think? Why do we need laws in the first place? To keep public order. Again, like I've said, if we didn't have a police service, there would be no public order. There'd be disruption everywhere, riots taking place. Protect our individual freedom. Provide solution for legal reasons, for going to court. Maintain public confidence. We wouldn't have the confidence if we didn't have laws to deal with certain things. What if somebody breaks the law? What happens if they're found guilty? Shall we have a look? Could go to prison. Could be a long sentence. It could be a short sentence. Could be just for a week or two. But it depends. It depends on what's happened, what that person has done, or what they've been found guilty of. Could be a suspended sentence. That means they won't go to prison. It'll be suspended for 12 months or 18 months. But if they do anything wrong within that time, they could end up back in prison. Community order, to go out in the community to serve the community, similar to a suspended sentence. But if they break the order in any way, they may end up back in prison. Conditional discharge, being discharged. A fine. Depends, again, on what somebody has done. It could be just £100, it could be a few £100, it could be lots of money. Electronic tagging and curfew. Now these are important. These are like as you can see on the picture on the right hand side, it's a tag and it's monitored where you can only go out at certain times of the day. And if you break that and go out at times where you're not allowed, you could be arrested, and again, you could face prison. Let's watch this short video about rule of law. And after you've seen this video, please write 5 sentences about what you understand about what you have seen. What about our classroom? Do we need rules in our classroom? Who should set these rules? The teacher, the learner, the manager? What sort of rules should we have? And what if these rules are broken? I'll leave that one up to you. Let's move on to individual liberty. In Britain, as long as we do not break the law, we can live as we choose to and have our own opinions about things. What does that actually mean? We can choose our own friends. We can choose right from wrong. We can communicate with different friends, different people. We can disagree with an opinion. That's our right to do that. We have the right to marry who we want to marry. Our children, we have a right to an education. We've got a right to start a family. The right to believe in ourselves and express ourselves. But there's a big but here. We have to be careful that we don't promote hate towards others. This is our individual liberty, but we do not want to promote hate against anybody else who is different, who may be different from us. That would be wrong. Mutual respect. We might not always agree with other people, but we try to show respect for their thoughts and feelings. We can give respect to others, and we can expect other people to show us respect. Treating others how you would like to be treated, yourself, and tolerating different opinions. If somebody's got a different opinion, that's their opinion. We should respect it. We should listen to them, and we should respect that opinion. I might have a different opinion on something. You might have a different opinion, but we still respect each other. But it doesn't mean we can't have a debate. It doesn't mean we can't have a discussion about it. Listen to each other. Work together. You work together in a classroom. Expressing, I want to express my own views. I should be allowed to do that. And we are allowed to do that in our country. And as learners, you can express your views to your teacher of how you feel about certain things. Being open and honest. But being mindful to views which are unacceptable. As I've said earlier, unacceptable views are promoting hate against a community, a religion, or a faith. They're unacceptable views of when we try and say, we don't want this community, or that's bordering on hate crime. It is hate crime. And anything we look at which is more harmful, we should be thinking of reporting it. In Britain, we accept that people might have different beliefs than ours, and they may believe in different religions. Now, I know in Greater Manchester, which we're a part of, there are over 180 different languages spoken. There is such a diverse community within Greater Manchester, people from all walks of lives. We need to understand that we don't all share the same beliefs and values. Respecting the values, ideas and beliefs of others, and not imposing what I think on somebody else or what you think on somebody else. Everybody has the right to their own opinion and belief. Embrace diversity, embrace the difference. The importance of religion, faith, tradition, culture, heritage, cultural heritage and preferences. But we also need to tackle stereotyping people into different boxes, labeling people, or they're like this, or they do this, prejudice, or they're different from us, and discriminating, treating them unfairly. That's what we should get away from. And we should stand up for ourselves and stand up for other people who may be subjected to stereotyping, prejudice and discrimination. Respecting people's right to freely practice any religion they choose to, or live without any religion at all. Now, in this country, I could walk into a mosque, a church, a synagogue, a temple. I can do that. I'm free to do that. I'm free to practice whatever religion I want to. So are you. Do you think everyone's views should be accepted? Should we respect the views of people who don't respect the views of others? These are two questions I want you to think about. We've looked at democracy, the rule of law, individual liberty, mutual respect, tolerance of those of different faiths and beliefs. If there's any questions, please ask the tutor